stress on memory levels, or stress levels on memory retention. So first I have a question for you guys. Who here remembers playing in the sandbox or on the playground when they were little? Okay. Who remembers falling off their bike for the first time? Well, that is the work of memories, which is created in your brain. So you'll probably remember those for a long time. So here's my overview. I'm going to discuss memory retention, what is memory, the three types of memory, the thesis, the stress and memory in the amygdala and how they're connected, and then an experiment that was done to prove that stress does affect memory retention. So now we have a discussion of memory. So a dictionary definition of memory is the ability to encode, store, retain, and subsequently recall information and past experiences in the human brain. Basically, things happen and you retain them, and then later you can recall them. So if, let's say, you fell off your bike, you remember, oh, it really hurt when I fell off my bike. This time, maybe I won't fall off my bike again. So what is memory? Memory is when something happens, a group of neurons are created in your brain that are set to fire signals for your brain so that you can react to them. So that later, when you're trying to think about it, then it's a signal for your brain, and all of a sudden you remember them. So you can build from those memories. Like, you don't want to fall off your bike once more. There are three types of memory: sensory, long-term, and short-term. And they are all residing in about the same place in the brain. These are transmitted through neurons, and this is a picture of a neuron. So first, because the picture was, I could not blow up the words anymore with the key right here. So first we have dendrites. This is where the memories are received from other neurons, or signals are received from other neurons. Then we have the neuron as itself, where it's all processed. The signal is completely processed through electrical signals. You have the axon, which is where electrical impulses are transferred throughout the neuron. Then right here we have a blow-up picture of what is actually happening on the axon. These are neurotransmitter molecules, where all of these electrical signals are made into molecules, and then they're sent to the receptor of another dendrite, where in between you have synapses. So there are three types of memory. There's sensory, long-term, and short-term. So let's start with sensory. Sensory is based off of stimuli through your senses, like hearing, see, sight, smell, taste, touch, things like that. So let's say you bake cookies with your mother one day. If you can smell the cookies, you can remember that smell, so that later when you bake cookies again, you remember, oh, I baked cookies with my mom one day. That's great. Then you have long-term, where most of the information is stored, like study, like when you, like important lessons or very important parts of your life, or maybe you even walking or talking when you were little, or just remembering to breathe every day. That's long-term. Short-term is things like remembering the capital cities and states, the capital cities of the United States. So maybe you don't remember the capital city of Wisconsin. You may think it's cheese. That could be the capital. So memory retention is, the apex of your memory retention is at age 25. So after that, it starts declining. And as you're up to age 25, you start remembering things. You're still building up your memory and it's still growing. When you're born, you have a clear memory. It's still growing. It takes a longer time to develop neurons when you're really little because it's still growing very slowly as you're before the age of 4 or 5. That's why you probably don't remember a lot of things before the age of 3 or 4 or 5. So this is the thesis of the paper that I wrote on this topic. So as age increases, the cortex of the brain grows, meaning that some of the neurons that were created before have been destroyed. This is decreasing your long-term memory so that when you're older, you don't remember things as well as you used to. So it takes a longer time for you to remember things. So the thesis was, scientific studies show that as people age, their memory decreases. This may be able to be counteracted by low-intensity stimulation of the brain at early stages of life. So this is the connection between stress and memory and the amygdala. So this is the amygdala. It is part of the brain where stress is processed so that the rest of the brain can back into this program, yes, SSAT, again. If you don't take it and you don't get a high enough grade, then you might not get in. Well, you're under stress, so your brain is trying to work harder, your heart beats faster, you start breathing harder, and it takes a lot of stress on your body. So this is how stress affects memory. When the brain is under a high amount of stress, then it evokes stressful times in your body, meaning that memories are created so that you remember, oh, I was really stressed at this point in time. This means that other neurons are destroyed and pushed out of the brain. So if, let's say, you have a harder time remembering other things because you've had so many stressful events. So like abusive homes, if they have more memories of being abused than they have of good times, then it will affect their behavior later. So this is an experiment done to prove that the amygdala and the stress and memory are affected. So this experiment was done by David A.T. King and Richard F. Thompson, and it tested to see if adrenaline stimulation on mice creates a memory impact. And this was done in Brain Perception, Memory, and Cognitive Neuroscience, which is a book I checked out from the library. So their hypothesis was if mice under high stress levels impairs their memory, low intensity stress levels can enhance their memory. So they used white mice and running wheels. Their procedure, they had two groups, the running group and the resting group. The running group was a group of mice that ran on wheels when they were very young. And this would be for 5 hours about, actually. And so they would be put on a high amount of stress while running on wheels. While the resting group would run on wheels for a short period of time. They get enough exercise to sustain themselves so that they could stay healthy. But they would be under low intensity stress. The results, the mice who were placed under a high amount of stress had impaired memory, while those that had a low amount of stress has easier memory and could remember things better later in life. So what they concluded was that low intensity stimulation of the amygdala can save memories. That way, in older time, when you get older, you can prevent other things like Alzheimer's, dementia, so that it builds up your amygdala. So, thank you very much.
How did you test the memory level of mice?
So what they did was they went into the brain and they checked it, like, I think it was through signals through the brain, electrical signals, but I'm not really that sure, but I will check on it.
Have you ever done the same type of testing on something other than mice?
It's been just my first little try to get it to be done.
You mentioned that as time goes on, your memory gets poorer. Is that your recall that gets poorer, or is the information actually going? Like, is it your ability to recall quickly that is inhibited, or is it the brain's storage of that memory?
Your ability to recall is it's harder to recall your memory. They're still there, but they're a little bit fuzzy, so that when you're older, you'd like try to recall them, but it's harder for you to recall them.
Okay.
Yes, Dr.
In patients with Alzheimer's, what is their memory deficit? Or did your research cover it?
Wait, so in the mice, do they have like the same memories as each other so that they can test them with equal each other?
It never specified that in the research, but I should double check that.
Is there a relationship between stress and age? Because your topic is the effects of stress on memory retention. Is that related? And you also mentioned age. Is there a correlation between higher stress during adult life that leads to a muddling of memories, or is there no correlation?
At earlier stages of life, or times that are before your older age, then stress does affect your memory. That's what they're trying to prevent, so that you can have less stress. But if you have it really early in life, like when you're around the age of 4 or 5, you can prevent it, and it'll
So if you are exposed to high levels of stress at a very young age, it will affect your memory long term?
Yes.
Of that time period, or just of your ability to remember in general?
Your ability to remember of that time period mostly.
All right, thank you, Ms. Nesbitt. Very good job.